Alito everybody and welcome back. This is CT for the NYC Indian and today we're going to be reviewing 90 Day Fiancé Back to Square One. This is going to be brought to you from an urban Native American perspective, a mixed perspective, and a secular perspective. So let's dive right on in. All right, so we rejoined Kim and Usman for their weekly foolishness. Okay, they wake up in the morning. She is happy with a glow on her face because finally they have connected in the yam department, if you know what I mean. And you know, it was just like this constant, it almost was like, it felt like a judging at an Olympics with, like, you know, glowing remarks about the performance between both of them. It was just too much. I couldn't handle it. I mean, that segment was just too long for me. So then he decides to take her to a spice farm for a tour, which actually, ironically, is such a great date, I think. That's so interesting and unique. But anyway, she has no idea that when she gets there, he has full plans on telling her about this Zara situation, which he completely lied to her about earlier when she asked him, you know, the song Zara, like, is that someone, or, you know, what's that name about? And he's like, oh, it's just nothing. You know, he blew it off, but that's basically his ex-girlfriend. So yeah, we'll see next week how she's going to react to that. I don't think this is going to look good, but at the end of the day, do you see her not forgiving him? I mean, come on. She contacted him. She sought him out. She became his super fan. So, you know, the fact that he's calling her his girlfriend now, come on. So we catch back up with Ben and Mahogany, or should I call her Incognito, where she invites him over to her house where her family lives with her. Okay, we found out that wasn't true. And I mean, you cannot tell me when Ben got to that place that did not look like the only Airbnb that had not got rented that day in whatever city she was living in Peru. I mean, come on, there was no sign of a young woman living there. It looked like either like a photographer's part-time studio, or, you know, I don't know. I mean, it was just like antiseptic white. There was not even, it wasn't even cream. It was stark white, like something people use for business. It was like staged, you know what I mean? It just, I mean, it was just so obvious. And I don't know who she got to get that place for her. So then the parents come and, you know, basically they meet Ben and they want to know like what his intentions are and stuff like that because she's so young. And then Ben realizes right then, because the parents are there, that Mahogany's been lying about her age. She's actually 22, not 24. And every time he catches her in a lie, she always goes like, oh, it just must have been a misunderstanding. And her body language the whole time, you know, it's funny because the way that her body language was when she was there with her parents, which was kind of like quiet and kind of, I guess, what would be normal for a situation when you're bringing someone home and you're kind of nervous and you're just quiet and your head's kind of down and stuff like that. But she was like that all the way from the time she met him at that restaurant. So she's been kind of very withdrawn because she knows she's pulling, you know, listen, she knows she's pulling some kind of hustle here. I don't know what the end game is. Maybe she just thought, you know, she's just having fun or whatever. No, you know, it's not serious. He'll never actually come here. But then she found somebody that was actually just crazy enough, dumb enough, and had the resources to do it. So, and he's very determined. So she needs to, you know, be careful in the future. Hopefully her parents just cut this off because it just looks so stupid. I mean, it was just so obvious. And his red flags, you know, Ben's dumb little red flags finally went off too. And, you know, hopefully, because finally he is starting to see that a lot of the stuff that she's saying is so inconsistent. I mean, she's just lying to his face. And well, now it's to his face. It was always been lying via text messages and however other ways that they were communicating without seeing each other. But now she is literally lying to his face. So we'll see. Do you guys think he's going to stay with her? Do you think he's going to get back on the plane like he should do before he finds himself in some kind of situation over there in Peru? Now we're back with Gino and Jasmine, and they're packing up, and come to find out he went outside and retrieved that nasty ass toothbrush that she threw out the door when they got into a fight, as well as her fingernail, and held on to it and told him and said that like it was a piece of her. I was like, okay, this guy's freaking, oh, all right, this guy's really freaking weird. Okay, this is like not funny now. This is disturbing. Why would you do something like that? And why would you admit that on national television? Oh. Anyway, she's telling him, oh God, I can't even, like, I need a minute after that because the visual, jeez. Oh, okay. So anyway, she's telling him about what it's going to be like to meet her mom. Her mom is like so concerned because she had a divorce before. You know, she wants to make sure that, you know, that her daughter's going to be with the right guy. And she knows that Gino is a weirdo, right? And like how that's going to look to her mom and everything like that. And, you know, before they leave, he goes ring shopping for her. So, listen, this man he goes to the glass case, and I don't know what is the style in Panama for engagement and wedding rings. I just don't know, all right? But all the rings were gold. It kind of reminded me like that kind of 80s style wedding rings. And knowing Jasmine, she would want something that's like, you know, she's kind of like one of those Instagram type girls, right? So you would see her with like, you know, the white ice and all the diamonds. You can tell that's her type. You can just tell. I don't see her walking around with no, you know, gold ring with a swirl of like 3 diamonds. That is like some JC Penney's, you know, kind of, you know, jewelry, you know, fine jewelry selection, you know, area. I thought to myself, I can't believe I mean, listen, yes, I know what you all are thinking. It's the thought that counts, of course. But she's so high maintenance. Why do you think you can go to like the cheapest thing? And then the guy says to him, when he finds a ring, he says, oh, I like that one. And the guy tells him it's like $900 something. And he was like, oh, yeah, well, yeah. What about that one over there? Oh, 200, you know, 270, 250 range. Okay, that sounds good. I thought to myself, what? Okay, so because they're not zooming in on the ring. We can't see it that clearly, but you can just tell it's a gold ring with like a couple of diamonds, right? I thought to myself, this woman is going to rip you apart if you give her a ring that is less than the standard American style and, you know, diamond cut, princess cut, all this stuff. I mean, she's not gonna like that. Are you serious? Oh, I cannot wait to see how this proposal goes, because you know, he's sitting there saying, you know, that as he's picking out the ring that, you know, money's really tight. Well, why is money so tight? If you really thought that you wanted to get to know this woman and you really have something long-term in your mind, then you would have been thinking, okay, I'm laid off and, you know, I have to use my funds, like, you know, I'm on a fixed income right now. If you're going to do something as extravagant as buying an engagement ring, then you need to have been saving up for that instead of physically sending her money. If that's the thing that you want. I mean, I'm not saying you can't send a little bit. In a regular situation, not this, where it's just like some weird, socially awkward kind of, you know, guy who says he wants to have a couple of kids before he gets to whatever age, but actually is just all into this kind of Barbie doll fascination of what a woman is and stuff like that. That, to me, this is not a normal situation, right? A lot of these on this show are not. So like in a normal situation, yes, I could see if, you know, maybe giving a little bit of money here and there to someone that you love. Meanwhile, you know that this person loves you. They treat you kindly. They don't yell at you and you know, and make you submit, you know, progress reports and, you know, location reports, you know, when you're on your way to go get the ring. I mean, even though she didn't know he was going to go get a ring, but, you know, it's just like, in his situation, what would make him think to give that kind of money on a regular basis when you're not working? You know, or even if you're working, but your, you know, finances are really tight. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I understand everyone, you know, human beings, we're humans, right? We want to be loved. We want to love and we want to be loved. It's one of the most powerful things on the planet, but you have to use your head. You have to have like some kind of discretion, some kind of common sense. And this is what we see season after season. People just like taking that common sense, like literally putting it in a basket and parking it in, you know, just putting it in the parking lot and just letting the basket roll and hit somebody's car. I mean, I don't understand it. I think she would literally probably just strangle him when she sees that ring. So we'll see about that. So next week, he's going to meet her mom, and I don't know how this is going to go. Is she anything like her mother? She sure as hell looks like her. I mean, we'll see what the situation is going to be with that. But Gino, good grief. What a weirdo. So now Mike and him are on their way to go wedding dress shopping. And I'm just really not sure what for. I mean, is there going to be a wedding? I didn't hear anything about a wedding. I mean, hello. So they get to the wedding shop and he's all partitioned off away from her while she's trying on her dress that she doesn't show him. And then, you know, she wants him to buy that dress and she wants him to buy her boob job. And he's not having it. You know, they get back to the house later on and he tells her basically like, you know, what's going on? You've been changing towards me. You know, you have the kids sleep with me. There's no intimacy. Are we going to be intimate before I leave? And she was like, you know, very adamant about that boob job. And I think once she realized that that was the last little hustle that she could not accomplish, she couldn't get that done with him, she's just kind of like, this is really not worth my time, right? So she basically lets him, you know, just gives him the truth. I don't love you. I'm not into you. I don't want to marry you, or at least I don't want to marry you right now, she says, whatever. But it's very obvious she does not want him. I mean, I think that she probably thought, okay, this guy kind of has like a, you know, I mean, he's kind of got that Lord of the Rings kind of thing going on. I don't know those actors' names, but that's what he kind of reminds me of, you know. So I think she's kind of, that's just so not her physical type. And then, you know, it's like, I'm not into you physically and you're not going to give me money. Well, I mean, what am I doing here? I think she probably has met with someone else, because I think that it's just something in the way that she's behaving. And I'm not saying that she would have to meet someone else to feel that way towards him, like to be turned off by him, because listen, he did some very disgusting things that, you know, if you're not physically into a person to begin with, and then you're acting that way, it just makes you look even worse. And, you know, sometimes people can overcome a lack of physical attraction because they're attracted to other qualities. And I mean, he's a very kind guy. I mean, he has wonderful qualities. He can meet someone that will love him and love him for him, but Jimena is not it, okay? And Jimena can get like a really, you know, it's easy for Jimena. You know, I mean, she lives in South America. I mean, people are just naturally good looking, you know, in some of those countries. They just are. I mean, I don't care what anybody says. You can say I'm lying in the comment section, but people are, I mean, in Colombia, they're nice looking. So it's, how can he compete if he's not even giving her money when she's around nice looking guys all the time? And in a culture where people are not very shy, you know, to kind of, if they like you, usually you kind of know if somebody likes you, right? I mean, so I don't know if he's going to drag this out, because he knows in his heart, he's heard the words. Now we see next week, they're going to get on with his friend who's going to like translate and stuff like that. But what's she going to translate? You know, you disgust me, you know, like all the other, it's like the same translations that the closed caption has been giving us. Basically, we all know that, you know, she's absolutely grossed and turned off by him. So listen, Mike, cut your losses, all right? Jimena is not the one for you. Just chalk it up as a whirlwind international experience that you had, and find somebody that will love you for you. I mean, they may not be in your town, but with that proximity to New York City, if you're not that picky, you definitely can find somebody. You definitely could, between the 5 boroughs and the suburbs, tri-state area, you can find somebody in Jersey. Come on, you definitely can find somebody in Jersey. I don't want to hear this, okay? You don't have to go overseas, all right? So, I mean, just like, use your brain. Come on, people. Use your brain. Hamza in Memphis. Well, Hamza is upset with Memphis because she reveals that she spent 4 nights with her ex-husband during the first month that Hamza and Memphis were talking. And you know, he got really upset and stormed off, but I was wondering, like, why would you do that? And then she gets into it a little bit further on and she explains, but not before the mom gets involved, right? She's like, you guys are rushing things, you know, basically saying, don't get married, you know. And, you know, she tells Memphis, like, why didn't you say anything to him earlier about this? And I feel as though, you know, when Memphis didn't want to be filmed, or she didn't want her voice, basically, she wanted the mic to kind of like not catch what she was saying, and she was very insistent upon talking to Hamza privately. And she basically told us what happened. She failed her nursing exam, and if anybody, I don't know, so it maybe, or some of you guys nurses out there, or maybe even doctors or lawyers, and you go through these really rigorous programs, and then everything is riding on you passing this test, and you owe money, and family's been supporting you, and you got to pass this test so you can start working and paying people back and just paying bills and things like that. It is really, really tough. And I personally went through that as well. It was very, very hard for me. And I mean, you feel like the whole world has just been taken from under your feet. So I can understand her going into a depression about that, because when I didn't pass my exam, I mean, I eventually retook it, but when I didn't pass, I didn't have two little mouths that depended on me. I didn't come from a foster care system and have trauma and like fear and, you know, grow up with, you know, food insecurity and you know, poverty or anything like that. So for someone who has gone through some of those things, I can imagine how devastated she must have been. And to me, it made perfect sense, because she said, yeah, I actually even had the kids. You know, I had somebody else taking care of the kids, because I couldn't even do it. Like, it's a devastating thing. And you know what? I was so happy that Hamza was actually understanding about that. Which he could have not been, because he doesn't know what it's like to go through a nursing program, you know, so I just thought that was really kind of him. And, you know, like I said before, the thing about them is not that, if they were just at different stages, I would love to see these two together, you know, but different stages, and have a lot more time to get to know about each other's cultures and lifestyles, and how you will marry those lives together. So I don't know, it just seems like they're probably going to get married. And if they do get married, it's gonna be just such a huge culture shock for both of them, you know, mainly for Hamza though, because he's gonna be in a brand new country. So I'm glad that ended the way that it did. So we'll see next week what's going on with them. So do you think Ben is still, listen, I'm just dead curious. I want to know what you guys think about Ben and Mahogany. Like, do you think the bunk beds, when he took one look at those bunk beds, and it was like, your ass is lying. Like, do you think he's going to finally just say, you know what, Jesus told me to get out of here or something like that? I don't know. It's like so hysterical, you know, and he's got the whole cult thing. It's just so weird. What do you guys think about Jasmine and Gino? I mean, because Jasmine is very clear that, listen, that hat is going to have to come off, because, you know, he's got that little soul patch back there. It's so weird. I'm not really understanding what that pattern is. I mean, it's just kind of unusual, but I mean, whatever your hair pattern is, you know, post hair loss, I mean, you shave it. It just looks like his hair is very, very black colored. So I don't know if he shaves it and then you can still see it, or does he have like a little patch, like a 2 centimeter patch back there? I have no idea. This is gonna be very interesting next week. So anyway, all right, you guys, please stay safe, take care. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and turn on your notification bell so you know when I call you, you can pick up the phone. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Chippy salacho.